Boo! At the open, all-time high for the S&P 500.
It's your boy Jimmy. Jimmy.
Now what's worth doing is worth doing for money.
Straight from y'all street to Wall Street.
Anybody tells you money's the root of all evil doesn't make up happen.
Dudes wake up, hope their girl turned on so they can get a little bit. Only woman in the morning I wanna turn on this. Becky quick. While the average man looking at this sad like she fine as it. I'm over here looking at tails and whips like 5'6". I left the mayhem for the market. Now I don't want a dope spot, I want a stock pick. I know that booty got dry, triggered my stop losses, but I ain't got time for your wop. My V-wops crossing. Rich with hot V's and pushing hot strategy and plans to make grand. Still in my wife beater, Batman pajamas, house slides, and about 5 hot picks for the day. Cause I like the way the Dow bounces. 4 hot dips on call, so I got options. 2 with a lot of volume, 1 with a double bottle. Now I know dumb money don't understand. Am I talking about my trade or just thinking with my MACD? You see, we different in the way we move. You move with kittens and your dog, I move with bears and bulls. I got a green thumb, roll with the marijuana. Waking up with the futures, some commas. Jump out of bed, big profits. Eat my bacon and eggs, big profits. Light up, watching them candles, profits. While I'm still in my sand, making profits. They used to watch me move them packs and stop. Now I watch moves in the NASDAQ. Profits. Used to run from the ATF and them cops. Now I run down ETL, make profits. I jump out of bed, make profits. Eat my bacon and eggs, make profits. Light up, watching them candles, profits. While I'm still in my sand, making profits. Yeah. See, me and Jim Cramer been talking mad money. Said today I'm taking a risk. They got the feds coming, but I got support here with me. I call it short squeeze. You get the drop, pull the trigger, and abort these. If she stay on my watch list, I might have to wife her. But I know better. I'm a true trading group lifer. Call up the Wolf of Weed Street. It's time to flip some profits. Go ahead, be hawking. Get your spot here. I'll double top that in the head and shoulders. Hit him up with this resistance. Watch him roll over. Cause I see John Wicks in contract. If I say I make $1 million a day, well, that's a large cap. You moving average, that's why you get crossed. Get split, get delisted, and knocked off. And I'm setting the whole block off. I'm buying GameStop and selling them roadblocks off. Jump out of bed, make profits. Eat my bacon and egg, make profits. Light up, watching them hand make profits. While I'm still in my sand, making profits. They used to watch me move them packs. Now I watch moves in the NASDAQ. Used to run from the ATF and them cops. Now I run down ETF. Hey, my family. Hey, go, what we doing, my man? Hey, make profits. Hey, Shug, Mike, what we doing? Hey, make profits. Yo, Wolf, Professor, what we doing? Make profits. That TTG money gang, we some snipers.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? What's going on, folks? Welcome all to the True Trading Group live stream. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. Nice, solid green day in the markets. And we've got earnings here on deck. And I'm here with you guys live to cover earnings and go over with you guys the start of really the big earnings week that we have ahead of us. We've got the majority of your Mag 7, not all, but the majority of your Mag 7 reporting this week. We have Microsoft, we have Meta, we have Amazon, we have Apple. Those are coming up over the course of the next 2 days. But today, we got a slew of other companies like Visa, Snap, Booking, Starbucks, FSLR, some stocks that we frequently trade at True Trading Group. We're going to cover all of those earnings with you guys live, talk about the beats, the misses, the guides, and more importantly, what we envision those stocks doing over the course of the next couple of days so we can figure out how we're going to make some money on them. My name is Michael Edward Paranati. I go by Michael Edward. I am the head trader and co-founder of True Trading Group. And in case you guys did not know, we are the fastest growing and highest rated premium online educational platform that combines university level trading and investing courses with premium stock market tools, live workshop, individual mentorship and coaching for stocks, options, crypto, and stocks, options, crypto, and futures. We day trade, we swing trade. We also cover long-term investing. There's something literally for everybody here at True Trading Group. So if you guys are new to the platform and new to the live stream, make sure you smash the like button, show some love, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, make sure you guys never miss out on any of these live streams because I'm dropping golden nuggets, giving you free lessons, trade ideas, analysis, and commentary that can help you guys make money. I'm giving you guys that here on a daily basis, Sunday through Friday. I go live on this channel with myself, other mods, and some special guests. We'll drop golden nuggets, give you free lessons, analysis, trade ideas, help you guys all make money, become better traders. Now, if you're wondering who I am and why you should listen to anything it is that I discuss on this channel, it's not that I think I'm the world's greatest trader. It's because I didn't figure this stuff out on my own. Honestly, began my trading career working at T3 Alpha Fund in New York City, my first job out of college. They had me go through a training program before they let me touch $1 of the firm's money. And then 2008 happened, the Great Recession, the big stock market crash. It's also the same year that I received one of the firm's Trader of the Year awards. Fast forward now, and I'm the co-founder and the head trader at True Trading Group, along with my team of 8 other professional full-time trading mods and an over 30-person staff. We have helped thousands of members from all over the world to reach their goals. Over 10,000 members in 114 different countries. TTG, truly a global community and a global platform. So if you guys are ready to learn, trade, and profit for real, you come to the right place. All right, let's get right to it. I'm going to take a quick little sip of water here, and then we're going to dive into these earnings. All right, let's get to it. All right, let's just go straight into it, and let's just hit on some of these earnings, guys. We'll go to Visa first. Okay, so here we go. Visa, wow, man, this stock is such a beast. It really is. This stock is such a beast. Such a beautiful move. And look at how well this stock trades from a structure like support and resistance standpoint, right? You can see that all-time high double top, broke through it, pulled back into it, became support, right? Then you get this, right? Then you get this level that was resistance, gapped above it, dropped back into it during the chaos of tariffs, and then that level sticks and holds support. And then you have this huge reversal from 300 all the way back up to 350 there on Visa. Just an incredible technical trading stock where the support and the resistance levels are absolutely spot on, just straight money. So let's talk about the earnings. Earnings per share is a beat, 276 versus 268. Sales are also a beat, 9.59 billion versus 9.55 billion. So those are beats across the board. They also authorized a $30 billion share buyback program. You got to maybe start asking yourself, okay, that's now the second company to announce a large buyback program. Wells Fargo earlier today announced a large share buyback program. Visa today announcing a large $30 billion share buyback program. If these companies believed that their stock prices were going to go significantly lower and there was going to be a nasty, deep recession, I don't know if they'd be buying back billions of dollars worth of their stock at these prices. I'm just saying it's an interest. Now, just because they authorize it doesn't mean they actually have to buy it. That's also important to note. Okay, it is important to note that just because they authorize the share buyback doesn't mean they actually have to go ahead and buy that. They could provide updates and they can choose, when they want to execute that buyback. But I just find it interesting that you're seeing these announcements from two companies that would be directly impacted by a recession, right? You're talking about Wells Fargo. Okay. You're talking about Wells Fargo, which obviously with the, being a consumer bank, I mean, they would struggle if there was a recession. And then you have Visa. Obviously, Visa, all their customers would be defaulting on their credit cards if there was a recession. And to sort of see those two companies that are going to be pretty heavily tied to a recession, it's interesting to see those two companies announce that they are going to be doing some pretty large share buyback programs. Nonetheless, Visa trading to the upside here, guys, up about 3.5% on the day. Nice clean break through 340. 340 was your previous resistance. Now you look for 340 to become support, and your next resistance level is going to be the low 350s. And where do we get that from? This little area here, little gap fill, and then we popped up into there at the end of March, and that became resistance. That's your next level of resistance. And if you take that out, your next resistance is just your all-time high. I don't know if the stock's going to really get back to the all-time high. It would have a lot of work to do to get there. It's not a very volatile stock. It's a slower mover. But I think that with these earnings, you now look for 340 support, and you got like 351 or so resistance. And I think that's a nice little new trading range that you can look for there for Visa. But a nice earnings beat there, top and bottom line beat for Visa, and the announcement of a share buyback program. $30 billion share buyback program. Incredible. All right. So that is Visa. All right. So that's Visa. And that's the analysis. Those are the levels there for Visa. Those looking for some trades. Then we have Snap. Trash. I hate this company so much. I really do. And the stock's getting smashed right now. It's interesting though, the stock's getting smashed right now because they actually beat. Top and bottom line beats. So earnings per share, they lost 8 cents. They were anticipated to lose 13 cents. Sales or revenue rather was 1.36 billion. Analysts were expecting 1.35 billion. Daily active users were 460 million. Analysts were expecting 459 million. However, it does not intend to share formal financial guidance for the second quarter. Cites uncertainty of macroeconomic conditions. Boom, boom, boom. No bueno there for Snap. So you are getting punished, okay? They are getting punished. Snap is getting punished for not issuing guidance. That's too bad. The stock is now down 12% on the day. It's down even more than that after hours. And it's all because they chose not to issue guidance because of the uncertainty of the macro condition. So even though it's a top and bottom line beat for the stock getting pulverized here because they decided not to issue their guidance. All right. Hold on one second, guys. Just going through all of my stuff here on my feeds. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So that is, well, let me give you the levels here for Snap. If you're looking for a trade on Snap, if you're looking for a trade on this thing, honestly, I think that you're probably, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not looking to trade it. I think, you got a huge resistance level up here now established at around 975 to 10. You guys can see this resistance level. And all you have now to deal with is the all-time low, which is down there at $7. So $7, your all-time low. You have a minor support level at 750, and then you have 7. I'm going to be honest, I don't think the stock breaks that. I don't think that Snap breaks 7, at least in the very near term, but that is a disappointing move there. SMCI is getting slammed. So people are just asking why NVIDIA just sold off. So NVIDIA just sold off right after hours. I'm assuming AMD is going to follow suit. Yeah. Broadcom follow suit. Yeah. Yeah. They're all following suit here. So it looks like we've got some preliminary earnings here for SMCI. It's a business update with unaudited preliminary financial results for the third quarter. Why would you even do this? Unaudited preliminary financial results for SMCI. Listen, I'm just going to put this out there. I have been asked a million times about SMCI and whether or not, I own it or I was buying it in my long-term portfolio. My answer throughout the entire process has been no, I'm not. I've never owned it in my long-term portfolio. I have no intention of owning it in my long-term portfolio. I absolutely hate their management team. When you invest in a company in the long term, you're not just investing in a company's product or service, you're investing in their management team. And there have been so many issues with this management team throughout, the last several years that I just don't want anything to do with it. You come out with unaudited preliminary financial results right now that causes the stock to drop 20%. You had the whole issue a couple of months ago or several months ago at this point, when there was discrepancies with their financials and it caused, there was lack of transparency, and Ernst & Young resigned as their auditor. They had to go and get, what would they get? BMO or KPMG, or I forgot who they got. They got somebody else. I forgot who they got, but somebody else came on to become their auditor. And many years ago, the stock actually faced being delisted because of some violations internally with payments to family members and family members as executives, and they almost got delisted. And it's just, there's just always something. I just don't trust this management team at all. And right now, SMCI is pulling the entire semiconductor sector to the downside. So their net sales came in at, wow, these are horrible misses. So their prior guidance for net sales was between $5 and $6 billion, which honestly, first of all, that's way too big of a range. You're giving me a 20% spread on your range for revenue. Really? Between 5 and 6 billion, you could have narrowed that down to like 5 to 5.15. Like, that was your range. Okay, cool. It's going to come in at, they're saying 4.5 to 4.6 billion. So way under the $5 to $6 billion guidance. GAAP diluted net income per share was, this is horrible, was expected at 36 to 53 cents. Again, a huge range. They're now saying it's going to come in at 16 to 17 cents. Huge miss. That was GAAP diluted. Non-GAAP diluted was expected 46 to 62 cents, is coming in 29 to 31 cents. They also see some delayed customer platform decisions, moved sales into the following quarter, is a comment that they're making as kind of an explanation for this. Yeah, their gross margin for Q3 was 220 basis points lower than Q2, primarily due to higher inventory reserves resulting from older generation products and expedite costs to enable time to market for new products. Man, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And the reasonings that they're giving, I feel like are a little fugazi. But listen, what I'm thinking about here with SMCI is I feel like it's short side. I think the stock might have some more room here down into 26. What I don't think we should have happen though is I don't think it's fair to see a lot of these other like Nvidia and AMD and Broadcom. I don't think it's right for those stocks to be trading to the downside. I just don't think that anything that SMCI says it should carry weight to affect something like the rest of these semis. I just don't trust SMCI. Now, if Nvidia says something, then every single semiconductor should react and should move from it. But as far as we look here, I'd say maybe, probably has another couple of bucks to the downside. I'd say $25 is going to probably be an area of support there for SMCI. Okay. So that's SMCI. All right, let's go to booking.com. All right, trading slightly to the downside here. Booking.com now down 4%. And let's go through, give you guys the numbers on Booking. This is an interesting one because this really gives you, insight. Right, this really gives you some insight into the consumer. Right? Booking.com, leisure, travel, and everything else. Well, they're solid beats. EPS, $24.81 a share versus $17.30 expectations. Sales, $4.76 billion. That's a beat against $4.59 billion expectation. And so it's a top and bottom line beat. But again, what people really want to know, is what that guidance is going to look like. Okay. That is what everybody wants to know. What's the guidance going to look like? Room nights grew 7% compared to the first quarter. Gross bookings grew 7% compared to the first quarter, 10% on a constant currency basis. Comment there from the CEO. I am pleased to report a good start to 2025, where healthy growth of room nights and gross bookings in the first quarter benefited from our globally diversified business. While there is uncertainty in the market around the near-term geopolitical and macroeconomic environment, we remain focused on driving our business for the long term by delivering value to our supplier partners and our travelers and executing on our strategic priorities. I'm looking for a reason why the stock is down 4% right now. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure why. This is a pretty good report. It's a pretty good report, honestly. It is. But just, I guess, uncertainty going forward about, what is the economy going to look like and how much leisure and travel is there really going to be, as people are, worried about a recession, and if you're going to get, higher price of goods, and you look at things from a travel standpoint that, people might avoid traveling if they're worried about a recession or the cost of goods goes up. You also had Trivago reported Q1 results, and they missed on their revenue estimates. So maybe this is a little bit of a combination of a sympathy with Trivago being a competitor with Booking.com. And I think because the macro environment, there's uncertainty on the macro environment. It's not looked at as well, this one beat and this one missed, therefore this is the better player and we should go ahead and buy it. It's looked at more because the uncertainty around the macro picture, it's looked at, hey, if one company is not doing great, then the industry as a whole may not do great. And that could be the part of the reason why the stock is down 4% on the day, even though the earnings actually are pretty good, right? But again, it comes down to, listen, this is reporting, how were things in January and February? Well, things in January and February were fantastic, and markets were at all-time highs, and everybody was happy-go-lucky. And now it's more about what happens going forward. It's more about, what about next quarter? Now that everybody's worried, now that everyone thinks there's going to be a recession, what happens now? That's really the issue. Okay. All right. Next up, we'll go to Starbucks. All right. Starbucks is flat, and I think that, there was a lot of pessimism going into this report with Starbucks, because Starbucks is such, Starbucks could get hit hard because of China, right? And the issues with China. The other thing that you have to consider is that there's a handful of companies that may be caught in the crosshairs and may fall victim to, the Chinese nationalism and the Chinese consumer, like boycotting American brands. And Starbucks can be in that category. So could Apple, so could Tesla. But Starbucks can definitely be in that category. So there was some worry, and obviously, the impact on tariffs. So there was some worry there with Starbucks. Okay. They missed. Okay. They did miss on their earnings, and the stock is actually still green. And I think it's because of, I think it's comments from the CEO. And I'll explain to you why. The CEO of Starbucks now is an absolute brilliant CEO. He's the former CEO of Chipotle. He recently took over the helm at Starbucks to help turn that company around. And I think he's going to do so. I have been bullish on Starbucks. I was bullish on Starbucks earlier in the year. Now, obviously, I didn't foresee this whole tariff situation happening, and Starbucks is caught right in the crosshairs of that. So the stock sold off like everything else that's impacted by tariffs. But I think longer term, I do believe that the new CEO is going to do a phenomenal job. And one of the comments that he just said during the conference or during the earnings is the reason why I believe the stock is actually green. So they missed, right? 41 cents a share in EPS, analysts expecting 50. Sales were only 8.76 billion, analysts expecting 8.86 billion. Okay, so this is a miss right across the board, top and bottom line. But the CEO said, my optimism has turned into confidence. I see more opportunity for this company than I imagined. End quote. Now, this is coming from the former CEO of Chipotle. And the former CEO of Chipotle, who was at the helm for the last, decade, where Chipotle stock did that. Okay. So the guy that was at the helm for this is now at the helm for for Starbucks. Okay. He is now at the helm for Starbucks. Okay. And that was this right here. So right here in August was the announcement when he was going to, the announcement right there. The stock went from the 70s. It went all the way into the mid 90s. It jumped $20 on the back of that news announcement. And you can see prior to the tariffs, the stock was on fire, right? The stock was absolutely on fire. And then everything happened with the tariffs, right? And the stock, got pulverized. So it sucks. It's unfortunate because the stock looked so damn good earlier this year. And from a bigger picture on a weekly chart, you had prior to that, right? You had this beautiful setup here, and it really was such a beautiful setup. Here was this kind of this descending wedge type of setup, and then you broke out of it, right? I mean, this was such a clean breakout. It looked so good. It looked like, all right, we're gonna get up there and we're gonna test those all-time highs. That's what it looked like, and then tariffs. So that took the stock right back down. But I honestly think it takes you back down into key support levels that are buyable zones. And to hear the CEO, even though you missed on the top and bottom line, which people were expecting a rough report as they go through this turnaround stage, for the CEO to say, my optimism has turned into confidence. I see more opportunity than I imagined, end quote. I think that's why the stock is probably trading up 1%, even though they missed on the top and bottom line. All right. So that is Starbucks. Let's see. We covered Visa. We covered Snap. We covered Booking. We covered SMCI. We covered Starbucks. Now we can cover another dumpster fire, which is FSLR. These solar stocks are just trash. I also don't own any of these stocks in my long-term portfolio. They continue to get pulverized. FSLR is actually best in breed. You take a look at like an end phase, you're talking about what was a $320 stock is now $47. SEDG, you're talking about what was a $360 stock. It's now $13. You're talking about Sunrun, that was a $90 stock, is now $7. These stocks are just absolute dumpster fires. And the tariffs don't help them either. I mean, nothing really helps them at this point. They've traded so poorly. But we'll go through FSLR earnings, and there's a very big support level that this stock has to hold. Otherwise, this whole sector is gonna move significantly more to the downside if this level for FSLR breaks. So from a technical standpoint, we have to watch this level. It is a huge level. You guys can see here on my screen, resistance back in 2021. Okay, you broke above it, you pull back into it. It held support, rally, drop back into it. It held support on Liberation Day. And now here you are back into that level following earnings. This level has to hold. Okay. If this level gives way, you're talking about a real bleed out that can take FSLR back to maybe 100, maybe even 90. And if FSLR makes that move, then I have to imagine that the rest of the sector is going to follow suit. The end phase, the SCDG, the Sunruns of the world are going to follow suit, and you'll be looking at further downside there. So you have to hold this level for FSLR. Okay. They missed earnings per share, but they did beat on sales. $1.95 versus $2.63 earnings per share was the miss. Sales, $844.5 million. Analysts only expecting $839.28 million. They did lower guidance though, and this is the culprit, right? This is why the stock is getting the crap kicked out of it, down 13% on the day. They lowered their guidance from earnings per share guidance was $17 to $20 a share. This is full year 2025. They were anticipating $17 to $20 a share. They're lowering it to $12.50 to $17.50. Okay. And that is against analyst expectations of 18.20. They also lowered sales guidance from 5.3 to 5.8 billion. They lowered it to 4.5 to 5.5 billion. Analysts were expecting a $5.5 billion guide for the year. So they missed on earnings per share, and they took their guidance on earnings per share and their guidance for sales down, not just for the next quarter, but for the full year. That's a full year guide down, not just like, hey, we made some changes, inventory, we might miss next quarter, but we're going to keep our guidance for the year. No, they brought down their full year guidance. Okay. And that is the reason why you see the stock selling off as hard as it did in the after hours session, down 13% now on the day. Okay. The whole market is red right now. SMCI went down 18%, but I can't see anything that's green out of the major players. Is it all just bad expectations and earnings forecast? Right now, for the most part, it is bad expectations and earnings forecasts. SMCI lowered their guidance, huge. FSLR lowered their guidance. Snap decided not to issue guidance. Starbucks missed on their earnings. And Visa is the only one. Visa is the one that beat and announced a share buyback program. And Visa is the only one that's green, right? Stocks up 3% on the day. Booking.com is down 4%. Starbucks is flat after the comment from the CEO. Snap is down 12% on the day. FSLR is down 13% on the day. SMCI is down 20% on the day. So these stocks are getting the crap kicked out of them, guys. So not a good day for earnings. And that's, the good news is these aren't major players. These aren't major companies. The biggest is Visa, and Visa is actually the one that did okay. But, Snap, Booking, FSLR, SMCI, they're not really the big dogs. The big dogs come tomorrow, and that's going to be Meta and Microsoft. And then Thursday's Apple and Amazon. Now those are the big dogs. Those are the big guns. We got to see how those stocks are going to, react to their earnings reports, because Alphabet came out with earnings and they were good, and the stock still kind of faded, right? You had this big gap up. You had this nice gap up on Alphabet the other day, last week, when they reported earnings on Thursday, and the stock has faded since, right? So you can see we've traded down ever since their earnings report, not up. And their earnings actually were good. So when you take a look at that, it kind of makes you a little hesitant to say, well, what's going to happen with Amazon? Is Amazon going to guide lower? Are they worried about the consumer? Are they worried about recession? Are they worried about tariffs? And so what's that guidance going to look like? What about Apple? How is Apple going to give any realistic guidance if you have no idea what the tariffs are with China? How can you give guidance? Right? So what's that guidance going to look like? Meta, are you worried about a recession? Because if you are, it's going to show up in your expectations for ad revenue, because when recession happens, companies look to cut costs, and those ad budgets, they get dropped, they get lowered, they get cut. So you'll see that show up in Meta's advertising revenue guidance and expectations. So you're going to get a really good look into the status of the economy, or not necessarily the status of the economy, but you're going to get a really good look into what these companies think about the next upcoming quarters and the remainder of this year, as the market tries to figure out whether or not we're going to have a recession. I don't know if we're going to have a recession. I think the odds are probably 50-50 at this time. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a recession. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. I think whether or not we do depends on how quickly we can get real resolution to these trade agreements. If we are able to start to get real deals, like if within the next couple of weeks, you've got to deal with India, you got to deal with the European Union, you got to deal with Japan, you got to deal with Australia. If that starts to happen in the next couple of weeks, I think you could avoid a recession. But if you fast forward to the 90-day pause deadline, and all we've got locked in is Cambodia and Costa Rica, then Houston, we got a problem, and those tariffs go back on, and there's no way you don't have a recession if that's the case. So I have no idea how these trade deals and the tariffs are going to work themselves out. I'm sure everybody on this live stream has their own opinion. I'm sure that your opinion lines right up with your political view and your political stance. It's not useful to try to pretend like anyone knows what's going to happen with these trade agreements. I have no idea how they're going to play out. Rather than me try to sit here and try to make a prediction of whether or not, is the bottom in the stock market? Because that's a question I get all the time. Is the bottom in? And my answer is the same. And it might not be the answer that a lot of people might like, because it's not a definitive yes or no. But I think it's foolish to try to make a definitive call, yes or no. The bottom is, listen, if we don't have a recession and we get trade deals soon, then the bottom for the year is probably in. If we don't get trade deals quickly, then you're going to start to feel, the economy will feel the impact of the tariffs and the uncertainty surrounding that. The economy will start to feel it. And once the economy actually starts to feel it, right now we haven't felt it yet. And the hope is that we don't feel it. The hope is that there's resolution before the economy has a chance to feel it. If there's not resolution and then you start to feel it, then you're going to go back down to those lows. And you're probably going to break those lows later this year. You'll probably break it within the next 2 to 3 months. If there's not a resolution. And if that's the case, if you break it, then that means we're having a recession. Because, we were down 20%. We got into bear market territory on April 7th when we had the big gap down. That is the day that I very openly, I told everybody on Sunday night, April 6th, on my live stream, the markets were tanking in the futures, overnight futures session when I was doing my live stream April 6th in the evening. And I told everybody on that live stream that Monday morning, the SPY is going to be in the 480s. And I said, I'm going to be buying in my long-term portfolio. Okay. So I said, I'm stepping in. I'm going to be buying in my long-term portfolio on April 7th. I did that. Okay. So I got a lot of buys down there when the SPY was in the 480s. I bought Palantir. Okay. Some of the stocks that I was able to buy, I bought Palantir in the 60s, right? I bought Uber in the 60s. I bought CrowdStrike in the low 300s. I bought Netflix, okay, down in the low 800s. And you take a look at where these stocks are at now. I mean, these are just a handful of the stocks that I stepped in and I was buying. I bought Nvidia down there around 90. So I'm very, I'm very happy with some of the buys that we were able to make on April 7th. But I'm not. I know we bounced right now from those lows, and some of these stocks are already up like 50% from those purchases. But I bought them not for a quick trade, not for a 3-week trade. I bought them for the next 10 years, and if we end up dropping back down towards those lows, I'm not going to reload. The cash I still have on the sideline. I have cash on the sideline still. I'll make myself clear. I'm not like all in, fully loaded and thinks like, oh, the bottom is in. I do still have some cash on the sidelines. I still have, out of the amount of cash that I wanted to put into the market this year, I have about 30% of it left. Most of it went in that Friday and Monday. So what is that? April 4th and April 7th. So that's when the bulk of that money went into the market. So here and here is when the bulk of that money went in. And I still have 30% of it that's on the sidelines. And I'm going to save that just in case we do have a recession, the markets go much lower, then that remaining cash goes into the market down here. Okay. And I'll start to target. I would start to target, honestly, this level here around like 420. Okay, 420 would kind of be my time. I wouldn't wait for 420. I'd probably be a buyer in like the 440s, but I'd probably be, the rest of that cash would probably come into the markets at this time. And that's a recession. That would mean we're having a recession. The markets are going to move to the downside, further lower. But I think for now, we're enjoying the bounce from an active trading standpoint. If you guys have caught my live streams over the last couple of weeks, I told you guys that I'm looking for us to push back up into these 550s and test this 50-day. It's exactly what we've seen. We've been all over this move inside True Trading Group over the last week. Last week we were long. We came into this week staying long, and it's been the right move. Right? It's been the right move. Some really great trades to start the week. Palantir, Broadcom, AppLovin. Some really great moves for us over the course of the last couple of days. So congrats, right? And I'm just, this is the type of stuff that I make, I feel like, it came on this live stream. I went over all these earnings with you guys, but what everybody really wants to maybe know that are not members of True Trading Group is more so not just tell me what the earnings were, Mike, but tell me if anyone that's actually part of True Trading Group is making money. And the reality is that the majority of our members do make money. And that's why we have over 10,000 members. And that is why we have a retention rate that is well into the 70%. And just because I say these things to be true doesn't mean that you should just believe them. You should listen to members. And we have a lot of members that are on this live stream. They're your peers. They're your counterparts. They're the ones that were in your position several months or several years ago when they were watching a live stream trying to figure out if True Trading Group is the place that they should join, the place that they should hang their hat. And now they're sitting here telling you that they're making money. And I'll show you. Guys, do me a favor. If you are a member of TTG and you guys are on this live stream right now, do me a favor. Go ahead and type the number 1 in chat right now. Real quick, just type the number 1 if you're making money. It's a real simple question. You guys making money? You becoming better traders? Type the number 1 in chat right now if that is the case. And for those of you that are watching this live and you're not a member, you should just pay attention to how many people that you see here type the number 1 inside chat, because these are your friends and your family members and your coworkers. They're your peers. If they can do this, then so can you. There's absolutely no reason why all these people are telling you they're making money and you can't. Join True Trading Group. Get access to the tools and resources that our traders have access to. Get access to the moderators. Get access to the alerts that the moderators are sending out. The moderators and I collectively as a group have been able to maintain a cumulative win rate on all of our executions of just around 80%, now going on roughly the last 6 years. You can get all of our trade alerts sent directly to your cell phone via push notification from our mobile app. That's how 82% of our members that have a full-time job, that's how they're able to benefit from what it is that we do during the day, because they get those trade alerts that come through that mobile app and they get it in real time. Our day trades last hours. Our swing trades last days. Okay? We are really people making money if you follow what is taught, says Tamar. Exactly. So if you guys are not members of TTG, don't listen to me. Listen to me when it comes to like analysis, but don't listen to me when it comes to people making money at your trading group. Listen to members. They're the ones that matter most. It doesn't matter how much money I make. What matters is how much money that our members make. Just because I make money doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to translate into members making money. What matters is, do they actually make money? And the answer is undoubtedly yes, as you just saw firsthand for yourself. So the people that are on here that are still not members, we actually are changing our membership back to the annual membership that we have. And the annual membership is $1,197 for the entire year. However, we actually still have not made the change on the checkout page for the 90-day membership that we've had over 200 people jump on a 90-day membership that we've offered over the last 2 to 3 weeks. While the tariff announcement and everybody was panicking and everyone was freaking out, they were scared. So we went ahead and offered a 90-day membership for just $250. It's not a limited or restricted membership. It is full access to the platform for 90 days. You can go to ttgoffer.com. Everything on that page is included for 90 days. $250. That's it. Okay. What do you guys have to lose? $250. Trade with us for 90 days. Make that $250 back in no time. And then if you guys decide you want to become an annual member, you have to process that transaction yourself. We are not going to audit. There's no automatic renewal of that membership. There is no automatic upgrade on that membership. After your 90 days are up, it just expires. You never charge anything again. If you want to become an annual member after your 90 days are up, you have to physically enter your information and process that transaction yourself. I don't want you guys, join if you want. And then you unlock the double your money back guarantee. I stand behind this platform and everything that we do. And to prove that to you, we put our money where our mouth is. If you become an annual member, I ask, go through the courses, pass our quizzes, attend one study group. If you do those things and you're still not able to make enough winning trades to equal what you paid for your membership, we will give you back double what you paid for your membership. So if you paid $1,000 for an annual membership and you can't make $1,000 back at least once during that membership, we'll give you back $2,000, not one. And I can do that because our refund rate is less than 2.5%. Our retention rate is well into the 70%. If our members can do this, then so can you. They're not luckier than you, and they don't have more time than you. They literally were you. If they can do it, so can you. Go to ttgoffer.com. Everything on that page is included for just $250. If you have any questions at all, send a text message to 1-888-621-2127. Find out why the NASDAQ signed a data partnership agreement with True Trading Group. Find out why we are an API partner of Unusual Whales. Find out why we are the recipient of the best AI analysis tool at the Global Benzinga FinTech Awards. Find out what 10,000 members from 114 different countries already know. There's a reason why all of these companies work with us. There's a reason why we've received these awards. There's a reason why our members stay with True Trading Group at a clip around 74%. And the reason is our members actually make money. Find out for yourself. Stop sitting on the sidelines. ttgoffer.com. Everything on that page is included for 90 days for $250. Text us with questions, 1-888-621-2127. I watched these live streams for 2 years before I joined. So foolish. Get in here. I promise you it's the right move if you're serious about becoming a good trader. Fibonacci. Yes, I remember, because you have such a memorable username, Fibonacci. It's such a memorable username. So like I remember you literally on all the live streams. And then you finally joined. It took you 2 years, but you finally did it. You're here now. Better late than never, right? And now Fibonacci's been a member for a little while. So let's see. I paid $1,300 when I initially signed up for True Trading Group 4 years ago. Frank, I hope you're doing well. Now I'm a lifetime member. $250 for 3 months is an absolute steal. And once you join, you'll understand why. Smooth Brain says, want to learn? Join. It's the best place to learn. Kaishel says, how valuable is guidance? It is the most valuable piece of information that a company issues during their earnings. because it is the expectation that the company has going forward. Earnings is what they already did. So the guidance carries the largest weight on an earnings report, especially at a time like this where there's a lot of uncertainty about what the next quarter is going to look like. All right. So guys, again, ttgoffer.com, everything on that page, 90 days, no restrictions. You get access to all of our courses. It's a simplified and expanded upon version of what I learned working at the fund in New York. You get Benzinger Pro's real-time news feed, Trading Views premium charting software, the Trade Ideas scanner, unusual options activity, options flow, dark pool data, short data, congressional trading data, 1,000 hours of recordings in our video library covering different topics, and so much more, all for $250, no restrictions, no limitations, for 90 days. ttgoffer.com. Text us with questions, 1-888-621-2127. Have a wonderful rest of your night, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back here live tomorrow, right after the close. So set your reminders, 4 p.m. We're going live tomorrow. I will cover Meta and Microsoft earnings. They're going to be massive. Okay. This week is full of catalyst. Monday and Tuesday, not so much. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, insane. You've got Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Amazon earnings. You've got GDP data. You've got PCE inflation data. You have the U.S. labor report. The next 3 days are going to be critical on whether or not this rally off the lows that we've seen in the market can continue, or we find out very quickly it's nothing more than a bear market rally and we're heading back to the downside. The next 3 days will dictate that. Get your butts in chat. Let's make some money together while we go through and we'll figure it out. Okay? ttgoffer.com. Have a great rest of your night, folks. Take care.